Welcome back to another G2 Wash video. This is another truck maintenance video. Something I realized was going on with my rear doors were not locking. Spoiler alert, I already changed the other side, but we're going to be replacing my rear door wiring harness. Like I said, I already did the other side. Now that I know what I'm doing, I want to be able to get a video for you guys in case you're having the same issue. Basically what's going on is the doors are not locking. Sometimes I'm getting a door ajar on my dash. Ultimately what's going on is the wiring that goes through the door right here isn't getting all the way to the door actuator, which is powering your locks and your door sensors, stuff like that. This is actually your door actuator, which is what I got first, and realized that it wasn't the actuator, it's just the wiring itself. In itself, the job is actually pretty simple. The actuator is way more tricky than it is just to actually change this wiring, but that's for another time. As always, I am not a certified mechanic. This is me just trying to figure out things, how to fix them, and solve them on my own. If you want to do anything that I'm doing, make sure you do it at your own risk. Step number one is you're going to take this panel off. This and this are inserted in the holes here and here. They pull off. Don't be too rough with it, but you do have to use a little bit of pressure. Now you're going to take your 1/4-inch socket and remove the bolts here, here, and here. 3 in total. Now I'm going to take my flathead screwdriver and stick it behind the handle and pop the flap that is actually covering one of the other screws. Now you're going to change to an 8mm socket to get that bolt out. Now you're ready to take this faceplate off by pushing it in slightly and then lifting up. When you do that, don't yank. There is cords on the back side of this that are connecting it, so don't ruin those by yanking and pulling on it. Here's this bottom one. Not where my thumb is, but where my pointer finger is. There's a small push pin on this gray part. As you can see, it takes a good bit of wiggling actually. What you're gonna wanna do here is these sides of this green push tab. You push them in, pull it out, and then it'll detract from here. I wasn't able to get that piece with my fingers, but what I did was I took a pair of needle nose pliers. I went like that and squeezed, and was able to push it through here to where you can free it. See how it rotates freely? And there you want to push your door in a little bit to give you more slack. You can get it out. And you pull upward. And now you're free. Now that you're disconnected, you can now remove the door. Something important here is to try to remember the way that the wires are oriented so that you can put them back in the exact same way. Next thing you want to do is to take this cover off to try to expose the rest of those wires so you can see how they're all moving. Try to keep as much of this adhesive on the material as possible. It's not really possible when it's an older vehicle like mine. Especially if you got a newer one, try to keep it nice. You want it exposed to the point where you can see all the wiring. You're going to use a 7/32 socket wrench and get your speaker off. Use 2 hands, but it'll look like that once you can get it open. Now there's a clip right here. You're going to be able to push it in. Same thing on the other side to get it through this hole and feed it to the other side. Got those pushed out, and then once you do that, there's a tab right here and pull out. And you have your 2 separated. Let's start pulling things off now. Inside your door, this is where your actuator is sitting and your power supply. Same idea, finish the pull. It's in there like this, so pushing your finger like that. Squeeze and pull out. Now you can remove this and feed everything back out. There you have it. So before I actually feed it through the door, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to connect it and then feed it to the door actuator. And what you're doing there is you're checking the functionality just to make sure that the actuator is not actually out too. By doing that, it avoids having any mishaps where you actually end up having to buy a whole nother piece. Before I changed that wasn't moving, it wasn't locking. It shows that we're doing the right thing and we're on the right track. Now the fun part of feeding it through and getting it connected and placed in the right spots. I've found that getting the door back on is actually pretty difficult too. The easiest way to do it is to line up those bottom holes. And find your cord and plug that in, which honestly might be the hardest part of the whole process. I have to use a little bit of force. Got it. So that is good. Another top view. You take this, get it to go in, and that slides over. And you have it there. You can push that green part in. There you go. The door's back in one piece. Sort of. Not quite one piece. You're gonna want to feed that through this hole. Let's see, yeah. Put these on. Looks like this side isn't good. Seated. How to put your bolts back in. Last piece to replace. For the last function check, door handle works. Good news. Now we should have 4 locked doors. Locked. Locked. I know the other one's locked, so we're good. We successfully completed our repair. Quick view from the inside just to make sure that it works in here as well. Sweet. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how you replace your rear door wiring harness. Pretty happy that we got that done, and now I have 4 working doors, so that's awesome. It's a pretty cheap fix. I got those from Amazon. They're like 40 bucks, so it's pretty inexpensive. If you're having issues with your doors locking, I had alarms going off because of it, because it was sensing that the door was open and the anti-theft was going off. Check your wiring harness and then check your actuator. Either way, thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Be back with another episode soon. Peace.